Imagine transforming your challenges and conflicts into opportunities.
Imagine accessing your fullest potential with the support of a global community.
Imagine a world based on cooperation and mutuality.
Imagine receiving heart-informed wisdom for your toughest issues 24/7.
Imagine dropping us versus them.
Imagine humanity living from the heart.
What would that be like?
Well, to me, today we're here to explore just this question. So welcome to Ask Love's launch. This is such a powerful moment. And Einstein said you cannot solve a problem with the same consciousness that created it. You need a shift. We are that shift already. We just have to tap it. And I'm Bruce Pardo, the founder of Ask Love, and I'm so delighted you are here. It is my very good fortune to be joined by my dear friend, Miyu Tamamura of You Healing Arts. And Miyu is simply one of the most loving and open-hearted, wise people I know. Thank you, Miyu.
Thank you, Bruce. Thank you, and hi, everyone. I'm honored to be here tonight. My intention tonight is to share my heart fully as much as possible. And because that is what Ask Love is really all about. Today, we are reclaiming the power of love together and asking our hearts, okay, heart, teach us what love can do.
Wonderful, Miyu. Thank you so much. And today's program is actually an interactive co-creation. You in the audience are in the driver's seat with us here. So on the bottom of your window is a toolbar. If you hit the chat icon on the right of the toolbar, the right portion of your screen will turn into a chat room where you can submit questions and comments. If you'd rather share something privately, click the Q&A button in the middle of the toolbar. We have a moderator who's reviewing chat and QA, and if something pertinent or juicy comes up, we'll address it in the moment. How's that? So our format is that first we'll give you the vision and possibility of AskLove.org. We'll then model Ask Love's core practice of stop, drop, and ask to access your heart's wisdom. And next we'll take you on a test drive of the platform itself. And lastly, if you have a conflict or challenge, we'll take your issue and do an interactive trial run of what would happen if we were live on Ask Love right now.
All right. So tell us, Bruce, what is Ask Love?
So Ask Love is actually a revolutionary free online community supporting its members with heart-based wisdom when they need it most in the face of conflict or challenge. And this is when we so often contract and spin in our heads or react and regret it. So on Ask Love's global forum, you can share your toughest issues and receive potent heart-based wisdom from our moderated community. You turn conflicts into opportunities and access your basic goodness to help others.
Great. So Bruce, how did Ask Love come about? And what was the inspiration behind it?
Such a powerful moment. You know, it's so clear even today. It was 10 years ago that I heard the words that Gandhi and Martin Luther King both used that originated from the Buddha. And they are, hatred never ceases by hatred, but by love alone is healed. This is the ancient and eternal law. And it just totally bypassed my rational mind. I just knew it in my bones that this was a really deep truth. And when I thought about it later, I realized, you know, when I feel hatred, I feel a cold contraction. When I feel love, I feel warmth and expansiveness. You can't relieve a cold contraction with more of the same. So this is a law of nature, just like gravity is. What if humanity recognized this and lived in accord with it? You know, our world would blossom, but what would that take?
Yeah, I know what you mean. I see that. What is holding us then? What is it that is not making us go there?
Yeah, well, you know, it's just that we are so stuck in our heads. And that's no surprise, given that we've been in the age of reason for the last several hundred years, fueled by science and technology and industry. And amazing benefits have happened for sure, like this webinar for one. But the reasoning intellect, as powerful as it is, sees things in pieces and parts, whereas our hearts, as the seat of caring and connectivity, fundamentally see an interconnected whole. And that's how reality actually is. So our most realistic, transformative, powerful, wise solutions are sourced from our hearts. And wisdom isn't up here as a product of reasoning, it's here as a result of connection. And let me share a very moving example. This is from a book by Jack Kornfield called The Art of Loving Kindness and Forgiveness. The Art of Forgiveness, Loving Kindness, and Peace. So here we go. I stand by the bed where a young woman lies, her face post-operative, her mouth twisted in palsy. A tiny twig of the facial nerve, the one to the muscles of her mouth, has been severed. She will be thus from now on. As surgeon, I had followed with religious fervor the curve of her flesh. I promise you that. Nevertheless, to remove the tumor in her cheek, I had to cut the little nerve. Her young husband is in the room. He stands on the opposite side of the bed, and together they seem to dwell in the evening lamplight, isolated from me, private. Who are they, I ask myself, he and this wry mouth who gaze and touch each other so generously? The woman speaks. Will my mouth always be like this? She asks. Yes, I say. It is because the nerve was cut. She nods, is silent. But the young man smiles. I like it, he says. It's kind of cute. All at once I know who he is. I understand and I lower my gaze. One is not bold in an encounter with a god. Unmindful of my presence, he bends to kiss her crooked mouth, and I'm so close I can see how he twists his own lips to accommodate hers, to show that their kiss still works. I remember that the gods appeared in ancient Greece as mortals, and I hold my breath and let the wonder in.
That's a really heart expanding, touching story. And as I was listening, so I'm getting this idea and also that feeling that somehow we have to make a shift from head to our heart so that heart can lead. So tell us more about that.
Sure. So, when we are supported in meeting life's conflicts and challenges on Ask Love, and we directly realize the power of that, we will build incredible confidence and will counteract our heady cultural conditioning and organically shift. What's really exciting is that this is the fundamental orientation from which all of our many personal and global issues become workable. And people are waking up to this. We are so tired of divisiveness, and we know in our bones there is another way. Ask Love simply provides a container for what's already happening. And given the global nature of the internet, if enough people join Ask Love can fuel a worldwide shift from the age of reason we're in to the age of wisdom. Know them, just us.
Yes, that sounds wonderful. So it's in a way, Ask Love is a co-creating world that we are all supporting, heart-based, and a positive platform that we can co-create together. So, and I was just thinking, Ask Love, I really love the name, Ask Love. So my question is, so then what is really love by what you mean? And also what is asking, what we are asking?
Sure, so what we're asking is love itself. And love is caring and connectivity. It is our basic goodness that delights in our well-being and that of others. We recognize it as our core and our home. And we don't say, this is me, we go, this is me. And we can also feel its dauntless strength through its limitless capacity to accept and embrace. And love is selfless. It moves us beyond our limitations. And there's a story in my life that just so directly connects me with this. So when I first moved up here to the Nevada City area, I met my first wife, and we got engaged and moved in together very quickly. And she had a 4-year-old daughter. And at first it was like, well, who are you? But over a few months, we started to build this rapport. And, so one night we were coming home. I have this crazy SUV, the two-door SUV, very hard to get into the back where her car seat was. So my first wife went into the cabin to turn things on, and I was getting the little girl out of her car seat. And so I had to scooch my way in like an acrobat, put my arms under her, put my hands under her arms, and then I lifted her up. And as I did, she put her feet on the floor in her sleep to help me steady her. And then that gave me enough space that I could lean out and grab her and kind of swing her out of the little wedge-shaped opening and onto my hip. And when I did that, she lifted her knees and she took her two little legs and clamped them on my side, just kind of like a little baby monkey. And it was just, my heart in that moment did a backflip. It was just like, I would have done anything, It was the most selfless, beautiful moment. This little being, so defenseless and trusting. And there she was. And it is to this day, that's love for me. It's one of the most bright and shining examples. And it's just right there in my heart.
I hear that as you speak.
Yeah.
And what I'd like to do is to take this energy that we just felt and go right to our heart. So I invite you, all of you viewers, all of us, let's close our eyes right now. And we are going to arrive to this moment. So close your eyes and then be comfortable. And now you can feel your feet on the ground, this ground that has always held you, supported you, and never judged you. Now you can feel the air around you and breathe in and then breathe out and appreciate this gift of air. And this air is your birthright. You can breathe the air, it is given to you. Now you can bring your attention to the center of your chest. Your heart is there, beating 24/7. This consistent and trustworthy heart is our home. Our hearts are made with love and this basic goodness. Without heart, we will die. Without love, we don't live. So feel your heart and appreciate it. Now, you can bring your left hand over your heart and then bring your right hand over your left hand. And feel your heart, hands, and your breath all together, and feel that all of those are united in the energy of love. And now take a nice deep breath and savor this feeling of oneness. Now you can gently release your hands and slowly you can open your eyes.
Wow, yum.
Thank
you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. So now we have connected to this very energy of love.
Yeah.
Please tell us how we can put it to work.
Sure. So on Ask Love, we offer a profoundly simple practice that you can do in moments called Stop, Drop, and Ask. So do you remember Stop, Drop, and Roll from when you're on fire? So first, stop and recognize you're on fire with a conflict or challenge. And then next, drop the situation into your heart and just feel it. And then lastly, ask sincerely and innocently for guidance and simply open to what emerges. It might be a feeling or an intuition, an image, a memory, or even words. Now, the reasoning intellect will be curious by default about what emerges, and it'll explore it to see if it makes sense. And if it does, it will automatically support and articulate the message. now you've aligned all your centers of power and you're accessing your fullest potential to respond.
Yes. And that is a great tool. So would you give us an example of how this will work in our daily life?
I actually have something that's really good. It happened really recently.
Okay.
I went to the movies, and we live in a small town, and I was at the late movies, and there was nobody in the theater. And so I settled in, nobody behind me to kick the chair, both elbow, wrist, yeah. And then after the previews and the movie's just starting, 3 people walk in, and they look around for a seat, and they come over and they sit right directly next to me. And it's like, goodbye, one elbow rest, and just, immediate contraction. And so it just didn't feel right to move over. So I decided, hey, I don't want to be caught up for the whole movie. And so I did stop, drop, and ask. I stopped, dropped the situation into my heart, and I just felt the contraction that was there. And then I asked sincerely and innocently for guidance. And so, there was an immediate, a little bit of softening. And then up from that came a message that would have never come from my rational mind, which was, suppose these were dear friends you're supposed to meet here. And, life did send them. And then when that happened, there was even further softening. And then there was I felt this childlike sense of generosity. And then my reasoning intellect kind of came in with, well, hey, these really are great seats. Why wouldn't they want to sit here? It's not too far forward, not too far back, right in the middle. I can share. And with that, a sense of joy arose. And I just, my system dropped the whole thing. And I went into this place of just this deep appreciation of, wow, that only took about 3 seconds. I went from aversion to well-being that quickly. And it's cool to see how the reasoning mind and the heart kind of work together to relieve this constriction inside my own being.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's a great story and example. Yeah.
Just one of those little things.
Yes. Well, I have an example to share too. Recently, I was asked to organize a concert by my friend, and immediately when I received that email, I said, "There's no way. My schedule is completely booked, and so no, I am going to say no to that." But instead, I stopped, dropped, and asked the heart, "Okay, what should I do, heart?" And I was amazed by the answer that I was given by the heart.
Wow.
So the heart said, no, you're going to organize a concert. And not only that, you're going to play the balls with your friend, and you are creating the concert together. So I was blown away by the answer, and in my head immediately said, I don't think that is possible. But my heart and my body aligned and said, go for it. You have to move for it. So, and I did. And as a result of that, not only the concert was successful, but I gained such confidence because I don't play balls. I have never actually played the balls in public before.
Right.
This was my first time. I usually play my balls with my clients. So not only the confidence, but what a joy that I had at the concert. And all this never happened if I didn't stop, drop, and ask.
Wow.
So that is really powerful too. And what I really wanted to say is this, that sometimes when we are asking the heart the answer, sometimes the heart's answer can be scary, sometimes surprising, sometimes it will say something that's really what you're not prepared for. But what I really learned from my experience is that you have to move forward, even the baby step. And the 2 most important things to remember is that trust and courage are the 2 most important things when we put the heart answer to action.
Right. And I love how in your story, the challenge of that turned that, you turned your challenge, a challenging situation, into an opportunity that grew you in a way that wouldn't have happened otherwise if you hadn't listened to your heart.
Yes.
A great story. Thank you, Mii.
Thank you. And, my story in your example, these 2 are happy ending, and which is wonderful. But sometimes I can imagine there is a difficult situation where we contract, and then that heart answer is not possible.
Right.
we could easily imagine that. So in that situation, what would you suggest?
Sure. Well, that's where the AskLove.org community comes in. And your compatriots on the site will stop, drop the situation into their hearts and ask for guidance, and then they'll share that with you. So crowdsourcing becomes heart sourcing, and it's really cool. But let me go ahead. I'm going to share my screen with you right now, and I'm going to take you on a test drive of AskLove itself. So here's the platform. Let me grab this and come on over. Ta-da! Here we go. Okay.
There it is.
So I hope you can see this. And very good. Excellent. All right, so now we're on Ask Love. One thing I'll point out is that up here, there's a little black bar that you wouldn't see. I'm seeing it because I'm an administrator on the site. So when we come to the site, notice that on the home page, we've got all questions and stories. Now, the stories aspect we haven't even mentioned yet. That's a really powerful aspect of Ask Love. I mean, what we want is a very immersive environment, like an ecosystem that's giving us the confidence to move from our heads to our hearts. And so, yes, asking questions is really powerful, and then being supported throughout the process of that question, but also seeing stories of when an open-hearted solution has been particularly profound or compelling, transformative or healing. That's also going to give us confidence. Oh, wait a second. I can live from my heart. And that's the most powerful way I can move forward. So over here, I can filter by questions or stories. If I just want to look at the stories, I can hit that. Or anytime that I want to see the whole list, I can come here, just click on the Ask Love icon, and I'm back to the home page. And I can sort by the latest, the hearts, the views, the responses, or the things that have no responses. And so let's go down here. Boy, that first question I see, am I worthy? That is such a beautiful question. I think that's something that is just so a part of our world these days. I'm going to head over. Now, what I've done here is I've just clicked on the tag contraction, and these are like little headlines that give us an idea of what's in the story. So they're a way of navigating the content. And let's see, and I really enjoyed this particular question right here. I thought I'd share it with you tonight. Learning to have compassion for referees. So we come in here, and in this story, it's I play soccer. Sometimes the referees make calls that are unfair. Sometimes they make calls that are fair, but I still don't like them, and on and on. It gets her really caught up. And what you can see is that people have related to this question. If something touches your heart, you can give it a heart, whether that's a question or, as we move down, there's a couple of responses down here. And the responses have got some hearts. But what I like is that the original poster of this actually responded to her own question and said, let's see, in one of my longer meditation, nope, wait a second. Hold on. Larry and Bruce, thank you so much for your thoughts and encouraging words. I agree with the two of you that something deeper is being tugged on. And then she goes on. And I just so love, there is this aspect of learning from each other that's being portrayed here. And if I go over here, I'm going to go to conflict now. And let me just see here. No, actually, I'm going to go to racism. So one of the things that comes up on here, we are in this world now where there's a lot of divisiveness and more racism is coming up. And so a question came on living with fearful neighbors, where these people were dealing with anti-Muslim racism in the apartment complex where they live. And there were a lot of responses that came up, some of it very helpful, and some of it trying to build bridges. So very powerful setup. But then if we come back what I was able to do, I actually looked into this and I was wondering how, I was looking for tools and I wanted to say how to handle anti-Muslim prejudice and actions in the US and elsewhere and to bring further resources. So I think that one of the things that this portrays is that on Ask Love, what we can do when questions are asked is we can respond and then we can create questions of our own, or via the responses, we can take people through their process and hold them all the way to resolution or until they have enough resources to deal with their situation. So that's kind of that's the question. If I wanted to come down and respond, just come down here. If I want to come down and make a response, I can put in a response. And every time I make a response or a comment, I'm given a little bit of guidance. I've got a link to a video demonstrating the stop, drop, and ask practice. I'm reminded to remember sincerity, curiosity, vulnerability, brevity, and on. And then we also have a link to crisis hotlines here. So when we explore internally, sometimes we may trigger trauma or expose a dangerous or abusive situation. And in that event, the crisis hotlines link takes us to a very complete list of 24/7 hotlines that are maintained by another site. Now, that's just for the US, but we want to be expanding that worldwide as soon as we can. And the other thing we have is there's a WISE participation video that when you log on and register when you register for the first time and then log on, your very first log on, you'll see this 4-minute WISE participation video, and you have to watch that through to the end. And that's kind of an onboarding process to make sure that people that are coming to Ask Love are aligned with the values and can get the most out of their participation. So then if I was going to add something, I'd just type it into here. I can upload images, I can put in links, I can do lists, whatever, and then I would post the response. Also, if I want to comment on a response that's been put in, I can also do that right here, and that just kind of gives us another layer of communication. And once again, we have our guidelines here, as well as the link to the crisis hotlines. So let me come back up to the home page. I'll hit our logo again. And now I'll just show when we want to ask a question or share a story. Right here, we can link back to the WISE participation video or document. If we want, we put in our title. We say whether it's a question or story. And then we come down, and once again, we've got some guidance and the crisis hotlines. And here I enter my text. Down here, I can start putting in tags. So let's say I wanted to do something about conflict. I start typing it in. If I want to use that tag, it puts it in for me. Or if I come up with something completely new, I just enter it and hit enter, and or type it in and hit enter, and a brand new tag has been added to the list. Now, lastly, I can go down, and this is an interesting point. I can post a question or story anonymously. And so that gives me the ability, to hold my privacy with something that might be very personal. But if I'm going to respond or comment, I do have to have my user profile displayed. So I'm not submitting anything this time, so I won't hit that. Let me just walk you through the menus really quickly. So of course we've got donate here, and that is, that's obvious. Ask Love will, for it to be sustainable, it requires your support. So, and hopefully you'll feel that way. Here's our WISE participation, where it comes to that 4-minute video. Down here, there's diversity. And I just want to say, diversity is so important for Ask Love. We welcome and celebrate diversity. And as it says here on the site, whatever your income level, education, race, gender, sexuality, age above 13 years, ethnicity, weight, height, hair color, favorite movie, conservative or liberal politics, and that's very important. you are welcome here. And so we also want to invite you to be part of generating and maintaining diversity on the site. So your ideas for that are welcome. You're welcome to input those here. If I go up, here's my stop, drop, and ask, where there's a 2-minute video of that. I'm going to move over here to being a moderator. Now, this is really important. Just like the positive terminal of a battery attracts the negative, Ask Love's positive intention might attract some pretty negative energy. And so we're going to need moderators to help us manage the dialogue and the values on the site. And so we welcome you to apply to be a moderator. You can do that here. Please do. Here's our crisis hotlines. Right here, and you just hit this link over to the crisis hotlines that takes you there. And then the last thing is that we have a feedback and report menu that takes you to, if you want to give us feedback. Now, this is a beta. So with a beta, we want you to, a beta is, it's a work in progress. So we want your feedback and input about things you'd like to see on the site, anything that's not working. We also ask for your patience as we get the site into further maturation. And then if there's anything on the site that appears to be abusive or unskillful, harsh, inappropriate, please report that to us, and we'll review it immediately. And so I think the About Us is basically pretty standard. And then I just want to go over here. I'm going to show you my user profile really quickly. And if I go in here and I look down, it's got all of my questions and stories. Now, for me looking at this, it's showing some of my anonymous input. But if I was to look at somebody else's input, it would not show their anonymous postings. So that's kind of when you post anonymously, you're safe. You'll be able to see everything you've submitted and put onto the site, but other people won't see, your anonymity is protected. So this is Ask Love. And, what we're hoping here is that this is a rich, immersive ecosystem that is really giving you the confidence to lead with your heart, to drop out of your head and maintain this space of connecting with your deepest and fullest potential. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and we're going to move into the next segment.
All right.
Okay.
So Bruce, that is a powerful but also user-friendly platform.
That's the
and
hope.
I really like the design of it. It's
Cool.
really simple but easy to navigate, and it's beautiful too to look at.
Great, thank
Great
you.
job. Great job. So now we are actually taking the time to demonstrate this and what happens on Ask Love on live with our live audience. So I see that we have a question already submitted. So we can take that, but also we may take this opportunity if the viewers, please go ahead and submit your question. If you have a question, please go ahead and submit.
So this is the point right now. It's your part of the show, and we look forward. If you've got any questions, then we can do Stop, Drop, and Ask right now, and hold it instead of on Ask Love with you, the live viewing community. So we're going to get a question. It looks like, we've got a moderator over here. Let me just ask, do we have a question lined up?
We do.
And do we have somebody who's willing to actually ask the question live?
I think so. Let me get them on.
Okay, wow, cool.
On here. Okay. So I'm going to promote them to panelists, and then we'll get them.
So we've got somebody joining us live. We're going to be able to see them in just a moment.
Okay.
There he is.
There he is. Hello, can you tell us who you are?
Yeah, my name is Douglas Fleming. My screen name is Refreshness there. I've got to tell you, I love the webcast so far. You guys are amazingly
You're sweet.
Thank you.
And so my question is, during the rough and tumble presidential election, our 7-year-old son Max started coming home and asking questions about Hillary and Trump, and some of his friends said that Hillary was bad because she wanted to take their daddy's guns away.
Oh,
Then
wow.
some of his other friends told Max that Trump was mean to women and that he was bad as well. So his mother and I, have many friends on all sides of the political spectrum, and we are able to relate to everyone with respect, compassion, and tolerance. So, the real question is, how do we teach him tolerance and help him not to be stressed by these different and conflicting views and opinions?
Yeah, wow. Thank you so much, Doug, or Refreshness. That's a powerful situation. So
Yes.
what we're going to do right now is I'll actually take this one, but you out there in the viewing audience, this is your opportunity. Let's practice stop, drop, and ask ourselves, and you can type into the chat any thoughts that you have. So we'll live take your input right now, right here. I'm going to do it myself and see what I come up with, okay? Yeah. And so just, wow, that situation, 7 years old, child, and he's getting these conflicting views, and it's kind of maybe sensing a lot of the divisiveness that's out there. How to hold that, and hold that with a sense of tolerance, not aversion. Wow, okay, so stop, drop that into my heart, and what do I feel? No uncertainty. Yeah, and now I'm going to ask for guidance and just, God, what would love do? What's a wise way to lead this? So I'll share with you what comes up for me. When I was 7 years old, the thing I loved possibly the most in the world was Frosted Flakes, Kellogg's Frosted Flakes. There's a product placement for you. And I liked Frosted Flakes on their own, but when you put the milk on them, they're just amazing. And then you finish the Frosted Flakes and you get down to the end and sugar would have come off. And that last sip of the milk is just a sugary sip of milk.
Oh, yeah.
Wow, this incredible thing. So this is back in the 60s, by the way. So anyways, I don't know, that's what came up out of my heart, is liking the milk and the Frosted Flakes together. And so what as I'm sitting here and thinking about, okay, what's the message of this? What does this mean? I think that what it means to me, if I'm going to interpret it, is that it's almost like we're more than the sum of our parts. I mean, I like milk, I like Frosted Flakes, but together, it's like, wow.
Sure.
And so there's something about this. Now, they're working in unison and in harmony, but there's something about that to share with your son. And about the conflicting views when things don't work together in harmony. Let me take that one for a moment. And I'm just going to drop that in. And what do we do when things aren't working together? And then just asking for guidance. And what I'm getting actually is kind of like a picture of the sky. And so when I think of that, I think of spaciousness, to give it space, and to know that the sky just lets everything pass through and it doesn't judge the clouds that move through it. And the opportunity with Max is maybe even to say, hey, some clouds are really dark and stormy, and some clouds are white and puffy and pleasant to look at, but the sky just lets them all pass through. So I guess the idea is that he doesn't have to take sides, that he just takes, and that's that he doesn't. And at the end of the day, I think a message is that we need each other. We need all of these different views and opinions, because that's what opens our hearts the widest to be able to hold each other to the fullest. And
Oh, that's great.
yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Bruce.
You are so welcome. And thank you so much for that question. And I'm just wondering, I'm going to ask our moderator right now. Stormy's our moderator. So, hey, Stormy, do we have any input from the live viewers in regard to that?
Yes, they are loving it.
Okay.
Does anybody have a suggestion? Has anybody practiced Stop, Drop, and Ask and has something that they'd like to offer to Doug and his son?
Somebody says, I feel that I would remind him that it's okay for people to disagree. It's important to be kind in that disagreement. Sometimes there's no right or wrong answer.
Right.
Do you think our viewers were able to hear that?
I don't know. I could ask him.
Yeah.
Well, I heard it.
Beautiful.
We heard that. Yeah, and I
Did
could
you hear that okay, Doug?
yeah, and that's a beautiful response. Thank you.
And that's a beautiful reflection
Yes.
as well.
Yes.
So that's wonderful. That's wonderful.
And
Well,
there's-
wow, Doug, thank you so much for that question. Thank you, viewer, for that reflection. Is there anything else?
There's
I mean-
one more.
Oh,
Just
cool.
one more?
Yes.
Awesome.
So Ruth King heard this story that might be helpful after September 11th, as many people feared an ongoing vicious spiral of retaliation and global violence. A wonderful Cherokee legend spread through the web. An old grandfather was speaking to his grandson about what caused the violence and cruelty in the world. And the answer was, in each human heart, he told the boy, there are two wolves battling one another. One is fearful and angry, and the other is understanding and kind. The young boy looked intently into his grandfather's eyes and asked which one will win. His grandfather smiled and quietly said, whichever one we choose to feed.
Wow.
Wow, that's powerful. Yeah, there we go.
I'm using that. I am using.
Thank you, Ruth, for that gorgeous reflection.
Yes.
That's wonderful.
That is
Yes.
truly wonderful.
Oh yeah.
So, is anything else, Stormy?
Hmm.
Let's see. Larry says a person is not actually defined by a particular behavior. These pass through people and often change as they grow in wisdom.
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, these wonderful.
And this is just
This is amazing. This is
Yeah.
so helpful. This is real. I mean, this is in real time. And just can you imagine what happens on the web? This is great.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, hey, Doug, wow, I
Thank
really
you.
appreciate you. It's a beautiful and very timely question. And I actually hope that's helpful for people that are watching who might have kids.
Mhm.
Certainly helps me. So thank you both, and thanks all the people who gave comments. And I'll see you online on Ask Love.
Right on,
Yeah,
right
thank
on.
you,
Many
Doug.
blessings.
Thank you so
Take
much.
care.
Yeah. Bye bye.
And now, so we have time for just one more. We're
Okay.
kind of going to run over just a little bit
All
here.
right.
Stormy, do we have another question that's come up from anyone?
One just technical question. Danny's asking, what is the benefit of going in being anonymous? Why would you choose that?
Mhm.
Sure. Well, sometimes we want to put something on the site that's so, revealing, or that's just so close to the bone in a way that we don't feel like we're, exposing our user profile. So that's just when we ask a question or share a story. Now, once again, when you respond or comment, you have to show who you are, and that's really to ensure that the dialogue stays civil on the site. So it's really about giving you a sense of permission and protection to share as fully as possible, because what makes that Ask Love really work and click is your ability to feel safe and to feel that you can be vulnerable and revealed. And so thank you for that question. That's actually a really
Yes.
beautiful question.
Yes.
Yeah. And actually, you know what? I'm looking at our time and we're going to have to wind this down. So,
All right.
gosh, this has
All
been a
right.
beautiful
It's been
experience.
really powerful. Yes.
Yeah.
Ask Love in action.
Yeah, for sure. And so, anyways, hey, I want to say that, first of all, thank you, Miyu. And thank you so much to all of you who participated tonight. And we have a gift of appreciation to share with you. And it's this beautiful book. I'm just so touched by the generosity of my friend and ardent Ask Love supporter, acclaimed best-selling author, Jonathan Robinson. And he is sharing a PDF version of his wonderful book, The Technology of Joy, with all of you. And Jonathan's amazing. He spent the last 35 years researching happiness and has distilled his favorite offerings in this warm, insightful book. He has reached over 250 million people around the world, and his work has been translated into 47 languages.
Whoa.
In addition, he has made numerous appearances on The Oprah Show and CNN, as well as other national TV shows. So you can go to his website, which is findinghappiness.com, okay, for his other books. And that's going to show up in our chat right now. So if you'll type that into the chat, please, Stormy. And so there's other materials, courses, as well as additional free articles and talks. So thank you so much, Jonathan Robinson, and thank you, viewers.
Yes. And well, it's been truly wonderful, Bruce. And Ask Love is now born and taking place. And my heart feels really full. And let's all of us stay right here in our hearts and continue to expand our hearts as Ask Love takes its roots in our hearts and in this world.
Well, Miyu, thank you so much for that. And I just, I want to share one other story with you that I think really displays the sort of dauntless power, the limitless capacity of the heart to accept and embrace. And this is another beautiful story from Jack Kornfield's book, The Art of Forgiveness, Loving Kindness, and Peace. So, a 14-year-old boy had shot and killed an innocent teenager to prove himself to his gang. At the trial, the victim's mother sat impassively silent until the end, when the youth was convicted of the killing. After the verdict was announced, she stood up slowly and stared directly at him and stated, "I'm going to kill you." Then the youth was taken away to serve several years in the juvenile facility. After the first half year, the mother of the slain child went to visit his killer. He had been living on the streets before the killing, and she was the only visitor he'd had. For a time they talked, and when she left, she gave him some money for cigarettes. Then she started step by step to visit him more regularly, bringing food and small gifts. Near the end of his 3-year sentence, she asked him what he would be doing when he got out. He was confused and very uncertain, so she offered to set him up with a job at a friend's company. Then she inquired about where he would live, and since he had no family to return to, she offered him temporary use of the spare room in her home. For 8 months he lived there, ate her food, and worked at the job. And then one evening she called him into the living room to talk. She sat down opposite him and waited. And then she started. "Do you remember in the courtroom when I said I was going to kill you?" "I sure do," he replied. "Well, I did," she went on. "I did not want the boy who could kill my son for no reason to remain alive on this earth. I wanted him to die. And that's why I started to visit you and bring you things. That's why I got you the job and let you live here in my house. That's how I set about changing you. And that old boy, he's gone. So now I want to ask you, since my son is gone and that killer is gone, if you'll stay here. I've got room and I'd like to adopt you if you'll let me." And she became the mother of her son's killer, the mother he never had. And this is just, this is possible. And this is within us. And this is what our world needs, and we know it. And this is what Ask Love is all about, is to tap into that space together, to hold each other, to meet each other. And so I'd like to close with just a couple of moments of dedication to you and for Ask Love itself, the possibility, and for our world that so dearly needs to make this shift the shift from head to heart, from the age of reason to the age of wisdom. And really, you know, there's no them, there's just us. So I invite you to just get comfortable in your seat, close your eyes. We'll just be a minute. So bringing your attention into your heart space. Just feeling into that basic goodness that's there. It's your home. It's your fullest potential. It aligns and coordinates you. When we lead from the heart, our head can relax because it knows, oh, this is actually wisdom. It knows that the fullest and deepest response is being accessed, and it can support that. So may we recognize this, may we support each other on Ask Love, to hold this intention, to revel in deepening each other's wisdom and heart and love. May Ask Love be of great benefit to our world. May it lead to the happiness and well-being of ourselves and all beings. May it truly give us the confidence to embrace and embody the shift from head to heart in ourselves and support that in every moment and with all whom we meet, whether on Ask Love or in the world. And so we end with this intention. May we be truly happy. May all beings everywhere be truly happy. May we grow in wisdom and love. May it be so. So thank you so much for joining us here tonight. This Ask Love is now born into the world. You were part of it. The site is live. It's waiting. I hope you'll breathe life into it. And I just thank you so much. May it be a blessing. You are a blessing. And so are you.
Thank you, Bruce.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Oh, wow.
Oh, look at that.
Oh.
Oh, thank you. Oh,
Beautiful. Okay. Thank you so much. We wish you well.